Skirt. In LA, where the dreams get printed. Fills the wizard with the DTF, we're minted. Yeah. Switched up the game from screen, we ain't standing. Transfer superstars with the fabric, we imprinted. Transfer superstars, yeah, we tinted.
What's up, superstars? On today's video, we're going to show you how easy it is to decorate onto some baseball jerseys with some custom names, custom numbers. We're going to show you how easy it is to not only design, but to order your transfers and to decorate these simply at home. This is a very inexpensive jersey that we picked up off of Amazon. It is only $14.95, almost cheaper than a lot of the distributors that are online. So again, we start off with a very, very inexpensive piece. I'm gonna show you guys how to do the whole designing and get this pressed on. Now we're gonna be doing this with DTF. Now I really like using DTF for this project because we have very, very low minimums. It is super easy to generate just one sample sheet of this. And again, it's super easy to design just using a program like Kittl. Now, unlike a regular t-shirt design where you just need to focus on the width, with a jersey like this, you have to focus on both the width as well as the height. You want to make sure that your design fits into that box. So that's why it gets a little bit tricky when dealing with jerseys. But that's why I'm going to go ahead and break this down so that it's super easy to understand and anybody can do this. Now let's go to take a look at both of these jerseys that I have here. So we've got the regular pinstripe jersey and I've got another blue jersey here that we're going to be doing later. Now the difference between these two jerseys is this seam right here. This is a very, very thick seam that they have on jerseys. It's very, very popular that you see. And unfortunately, when you have a jersey like this, it gets very, very difficult to put anything over the front. You are limited into just the pocket logo design. So we're going to do this next time. The one that we're going to focus on is a regular pinstripe where it does not have that folded seam here that's thick. So what I'm going to be doing, let's turn around to the back first. Okay, so we're going to be putting a name back here as well as a number. Now, one thing that you want to work on is when you're dealing with names, the baseball team is going to have various names. They're going to have team members where their names are just going to be short 3 letters, like let's say Lee, or you can have some really long letters like Rodriguez, where I think it's like 9. So in this particular case, you don't want to just size everything at 10 inches because the Lee and the Rodriguez is going to look totally different. So what you want to focus on here is you want to have a maximum height so that even the Lee or the Rodriguez is always going to be the same height, so it's going to look in proportion. Now what we're doing here is we ordered a size small. I always like to start with a size small so that I know what the limitations in the lettering and the numbers is. And once you get this size down, then of course you can apply this to the other larger sizes. Now, as far as the size small jerseys here, small men that is, to the sleeve here, you have about 16.5 inches in width. That's the maximum width. But no one's gonna really go that big as far as putting the letters on. So in this particular case, I'm gonna try to max out at about 13 inches. There you go, 13 inches. That leaves about 1.5 inches on the side. I think that's gonna be my max. But what I'm gonna focus on here is actually the height. So I'm gonna keep everything at 3 inches in height as far as the names goes. So again, I wanna have in my mind 13 inches across is my max, and about 3 inches is going to be the max height. Now, when dealing with the numbers, I like to go ahead and stick with 8 inches in height. So if you're dealing with a single number, again, it's going to be 8 inches in height. You're dealing with the double-digit number like 80, it's also going to be maximum at 8 inches in height. So it's going to look in proportion when you actually get it printed. So I'm going to show you all that when we hop onto Kittl. Now, going back to the jersey here, again, I've seen people like to put numbers on the pocket here. You can curve the design up, put a number here. You can just put a regular number there, which is what we're going to be doing on the blue jersey. But in this case, we're going to be putting team name across the chest. So I'm not really worried about the width because I know in my head I want to be about 13, 14 inches at most. What I'm actually worried about here or concerned about is going to be the distance between the buttons. These are going to be my restrictions. So it's roughly about 3.5 inches max, but I'm probably going to do it about 3 inches here so that it is not too close to the buttons and it's going to be clean. Now, one of the things that you want to also focus on here is the way that these buttons open. So the button actually covers from left over to the right. So if you're wearing this, it's going to be left over to the right. So if you're putting a design here, you want to make sure that you have this space properly so that the design is going to be centered right here. So keep that in mind. The pocket is going to go from left over to the right. So there's different ways to do this. You can split the graphic in half. In my case, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm probably going to be extending an extra letter, because I do notice that once I open this up, from this seam to this seam, I've got a good about 1.5 inches to get to that point. So I might just add another letter, extend that all the way here, and then put a design right on top of it. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, just follow through. When I get to the Kittl, I'll go ahead and explain that process with you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and get to the designing part. All right, so we're gonna head to Kittl. All right, so what I'm gonna do is start a new project, and then let's go ahead and start off with our settings. First thing I'm gonna do, 300 DPI, change the units to inches, and I'm going to make my designs about 14 by 14. It's a good, nice square. I'm not gonna be exceeding that size at all for anything, so I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it at 14 by 14. Go ahead and start creating this artboard. And now that I'm here, I'm just gonna go ahead and go to the text. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on the back text first. So let's go ahead and click on that, add a headline. Oh, there you go. There's a little delay. So this is going to be the start of the headline. Now the first thing I'm going to do is start off doing Hernandez, and then again, there's no specific varsity fonts, but I have seen certain fonts that I like. So if I go to the text right here and I search up Milk Store, here are some of the fonts that I like to use for jerseys. So for the names, I'm gonna go ahead and use Milk Store 2. That kind of gives it a nice text here. It is a little bit small, so I'm gonna have to increase that size. Let's go ahead and drag this out. Again, we're just go ahead and maximize it like this. Bring this out to the very end, which is going to be about 14 inches. There you go. Now, at this point, if you, so it says right here, 14.6, let's just go 14. Okay, and then you look at the maximum height, it's gonna be 3 inches. So let's go ahead and focus on the height here. So I want all the names to be at 3 inches in height. That's the main guide that I'm gonna go ahead and work with. Now, as far as the text, you can also click on transformation. And if you wanna give it a little arch, you can give it a little arch. I've seen that with baseball tees, but that is too aggressive. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a 10% arch like that. I think that looks pretty good. At this point, what I'll do is it is ready to go as far as my first name is concerned. Let's go ahead. Oh, you see that right there? So that does change the overall height afterwards. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep it at 3.3 because it curves. But remember, I did the height at 3 inches prior to the curve. So let's go ahead and download this design. It's good to go. Let's remove the background and let's call this one Hernandez. And then let's hit download again and hit download. The next one I'm going to do is, while I'm doing all the names, let's do Lee. It's also going to be curved, and I'm going to keep everything the same. The height is going to be a little bit different here because it already assumed that I curved it. I know I'm making this tricky by curving it, but if I kept everything straight, I would have made sure that all the height is going to be at 3 inches in height. That's the main thing. But because it's curved here, it's going to read each letter the same way. You're just going to have to trust that your original setting is correct. Now, besides the lead, okay, so I got the lead down, and let's go ahead and download this one. Oops, I'm going to change the title to Lee. Download, background is off, and let's go ahead and download that. And then the next one, I'm going to double click on this one. Let's go ahead and do Rodriguez, and there you go. 3.39, it's almost similar to 3.38, it's almost similar to Hernandez. So that's why it looks very similar in size, and it's good to go. So let's download this one. And then lastly, let's go ahead and do, oops, sorry. I should have done this at Rodriguez. There you go. I want to make sure that I delete this one right here. It's gonna throw me off. And then Rodriguez, it's downloaded. And then last one I'm going to do is Smith. Let's do a 5-letter one. You see it like that, Smith, and then let's download. Remove background, 300, all the settings are gonna be the same. Perfect. Now guys, if you're doing, let's say the white jersey, or the blue jersey or a black jersey where you need this to be in white, you can easily change the text color here to any color that you want. So if you're doing white, you just do white. You can't see it, you can throw a background layer to it, or you can just go ahead and size everything and then change it to white and export. Either way, it works the same way. So there, I'm done with the names. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do some numbers. So as far as the numbers, let's start off with, let's say, a single digit number. I'm gonna go ahead and double click here, click on number 1. Now I'm gonna take off that curve like that, and then I wanna actually maximize, or I'm gonna be going to 8 inches in height. So I need to readjust this. I'm just gonna go and Control Z. Let's see that work. There you go. Control Z is to reverse what I just did, because this was not sized right when I changed this to 8 inches. It expanded that too much. So I'm gonna come back here, readjust that wall, 8 inches here, and then now I know that this number is 8 inches, width is 6 inches. So there. I'm gonna change this font. Instead of Milk Store 2, I think there was another one that I like. Milk Store 3. There you go. It is more wide, it is bolder. At 8 inches, here, let me adjust it. It's 5.92 by 8 inches, and this is what I want. Again, black is fine for what I'm trying to do. Let's go ahead and download this. So then, oops, I did not name it correctly. I should name it properly. Let me go back to Smith and delete that Smith. So number 1, let's go ahead and download. So then the next number I want to do is, let's also do a single digit. Let's do 8. 8, it's still, I want to make sure this is at 8. And then let's change the name of the file to 8. And then let's go ahead and export. Next, let's go ahead and do 80. Let's do a 2-digit number, 80. If it's expanded too narrow, then you want to raise this up or expand this so that it fits. And then you want to shrink it. And then you're going to go ahead and do 8 inches here. All right, so guys, I kind of made a mistake. The font that I chose is too wide. So at 8 inches wide or height, it became 14 inches. This gap is it's too wide. So what I'm gonna do is, let me change this back. I'm gonna go back to the Milk Store number 2, and this is what I'm gonna stick with for my numbers. So I think this is fine. Let's go ahead and do these numbers again. So 80 is going to be this first one that I'm going to do. And then let's go ahead and go back to my files, and I'm going to delete number 1 and number 8 because that did not work. So let's go ahead and change this back to just 8. I'm going to shrink this down. Then later, let's rename this to 8. And then let's go ahead and download like so. And then let's go back to number 1, double check, 8 inches, and then rename this like so. And then let's go ahead and download that. Last thing we're going to do is number 24. There you go, double check, 8.13, let's bring it down to 8. Let's do this at 24, and then export it like such. Now that the names and the numbers are done, let's go ahead and work on the front logo. So the front logo, let's go ahead and shrink this down to 200. I'm gonna name this Maverick because that's the imaginary team name that I'm going with. Right here, I'm gonna change the text to Maverick, like such. And then for the text, let's go, I think I also had a Milk Store font that I liked in cursive. So let's go back here, Milk Store 1, there you go. And then let's go ahead and start playing with this font, Maverick. So it is too big right now. I'm going to go ahead and do this at 3 inches in height, because remember, that's the widest between the buttons that I'm going to be going. So let's shrink this down, and then let's bring this up. It's 3.2, it's too big. But the good thing is I need to split this up. So I'm gonna go 3 inches in height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this up. And I'm going to split this up by putting another V here instead of just, so I can technically do this. I can just split it like this and press it onto the jersey, and I think it'll be fine. It'll cover it because the buttons go from left to right, so it'll cover this, and then the M is also very, very big. So I think it's gonna be pretty even. But what I'm also gonna do here is I'm gonna add another V here, and that should allow me to press it inside of the flap and have this override that. So I'll show you what I'm talking about after everything is said and done. But let's double check this, 3 inches, 13.84. My max was about 14 inches, which is what I noted earlier. So I am happy with the way that this is right now. Let's go ahead and export this. I already renamed the Maverick. Let's go ahead and export it. There you go. All right, so now I have all my artwork set up for 4 of my names. It didn't really take a long time. I can technically do the whole team in probably a few more extra minutes if I needed to. But I'm gonna be ready to place my orders for transfers. Let's go over to Transfer Superstars. Again, guys, if you guys need a transfer provider, printer, backup printer, make sure you guys give us a shot. We're here to earn your business. We'd love to be able to help you out, whether you have questions regarding your transfer, your project, whatever it is, we are here to help you out. Send us an email or a phone call. We're simply we're very easy to get a hold of. So let's go back to the gang sheet builder, DTF transfer. Let's go to the Builder Pro. When you're here, let's go ahead and do 22 by 36 for now. I can always change it up. I'm not sure because I'm doing a few names right now, so we can always shrink it afterwards. Let's start off with a brand new gang sheet. Let's go ahead and upload the images. So I'm gonna go to downloads. That's where my folder is at. Highlight all the files that I want to do. And let's go ahead and upload. Perfect. Now, what I can do is, let's say if I want, I'm gonna just go ahead and build this by doing one of this, one of this, one of this, one, and then this one I'm going to do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. So you can actually click on this and auto build if you want to change any of the quantities after. So if you wanted to add a couple more Mavericks, you can add a couple more Mavericks. But let's go ahead and close this. This is the sheet. Let's see if I can tally this out a little bit better. So here I was able to fit these prints here. So if I want to, I can add more of the team names. So for example, if I'm going to do that, I can also duplicate these 2. There you go, like so. So I'm going to be able to do all these names as well as 7 of these jerseys. If I want to add more, I can go ahead and add more. If I want to make the sheet smaller and just do a sample, I can also do that. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to be manually just moving things around. It does tile them nicely for you, but you can have the option to move them around and spread them out if you need to, especially if it's in this case. And you know, if you really want to, you can even duplicate that Smith just so that you can have an extra print just in case, right? And so this is the way that I'm going to be tallying everything and printing everything, so everything looks nice and even. Perfect. Let's go ahead and save. We're gonna add to the cart. You can rename it any way that you want. So Maverick baseball jerseys, so that you can save it onto your profile. You can always come back and load this up. What I also like to do is I like to date things. So I know that this first batch that I did was going to be August 13th. And so I'm gonna name it like this, add to the cart, get this printed, and then we're gonna go ahead and get this lined up onto the jerseys. All right, let's take a look at the transfer gang sheet. You guys can see the names have a bit of an arch to it, not as noticeable on the smaller characters, but you do notice a little bit of an arch. I do like the way that it looks. Everything's all evened out on the numbers. You've got a bunch of Maverick logos for the front and then the additional Smith logo here. So let's go ahead and break this down and get this ready to be used. Okay, I'm gonna be using our dolly cutter today, and I usually also flip this around when I'm cutting. So let's just start cleaning this up. Okay, the names are cut out, the numbers are cut out except being parallel. I like to do everything in one direction first because it just makes things nice and easy. So let's rearrange that. All right, let's take a look. All the Mavs are here. You've got your numbers here. Whether you're doing the 8 or the 80, single digit, double digit, it's all gonna be the same height. You've got your names, slight curve. Everything is nice and straight. The next thing that we're going to do is line up the transfers and get them ready to be pressed on. What I'm going to do is actually take one of these Maverick ones here, and I'm actually going to be cutting it down the middle. So let's take it back here and I'll show you why I do this. So there, slice. All right, let's go ahead and get this set up. Now I'm gonna show you the way that I showed you guys online how I did this. I went ahead and added an extra V right here. So what I'm going to be doing essentially is to get this underneath the button, and it's gonna stop right at where the V is at, like that. And then you run it on top like that. So that's one way to do it. And it's pretty even on both ends because I used uppercase as well as lowercase. So the MA actually was pretty damn wide. This is what I did. Now another way to do this, which I did previously on another part of a test, was I just split it right there, MA and then VERICK. This one actually works very well as well. So instead of tucking it underneath here to press it in the flap, I'm just bringing it right here to the corner, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and bring this right here. So it's not perfect, it's not connected all the way, but this is one way to do it through the button. So again, let me show you guys in comparison. One has the extra V that gets tucked in there, and one doesn't have the extra V that gets put on top. So both different ways to do it. I'm gonna go with this way to do it for this particular job. So let's go ahead and get this taped in. Okay, I got my heat resistant tape. All right, now I got the front taped on and aligned. It's ready to go. I'm ready to slip it on the heat press. I'm just gonna go ahead and adjust the heat press to compensate for the heat press pillow. So let's push this back in. Okay, so it's way too tight. There you go, it locks, it's at 9, heavy pressure, there you go. What I would recommend is you're able to actually thread it. That's what we would do. If you don't have the ability to thread it, I would go through it with the heat press pillow. And that's one of these in case you guys are not familiar with it. Since this is threadable, I'm just gonna bring it underneath. if you don't have a heat press pillow, you jeopardize these buttons. They can break. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at these. All right, looks pretty good. Now we're gonna take it back here. I'm gonna do a second press. I'm gonna use my matte finishing sheet that gives it a screen printed finish to it. So as you guys can see right now, it's pretty shiny, very bold and sharp. And I'm gonna hit it with this finishing sheet right here. And it's really going to change the way that the texture of it. So let's do a second press. If you guys can see that right there. Gives it a nice screen printed finish versus this side that hasn't been hit with it yet. See the big difference? Okay, let's get this pressed. That. Okay, let's button it up and check it out. Look at that. Super clean. Even if you fold it back, you see the V inside. All right, now let's go ahead and do the back. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use our laser alignment tool. This is gonna help me align the design on the back of the jersey. Now I have this marked for, I just need to adjust it real quick. I have it marked for about 3 inches right here, which is 4 fingers. So I do need to adjust my heat press again. It's way too light in pressure because of the heat press pillow. So let's release, let's tighten it up. Okay, there you go, nice and high pressure. Okay, perfect. I still have that center line, so I know, and this is gonna be 3 inches from the top right here. This is going to be the letter Rodriguez. I'm going to bring this transfer to the edge right here, fold it in half to give me a quick crease line. That top part right there is exactly the middle. You see it curves a bit. Material like this where it's polyester, I definitely would use heat resistant tape. It glides off easier. If you don't use the tape, it may take off with your press, and that's not what you want. So I definitely recommend doing that. So here's number 24. 3 inches down from the word, from the name. So right here, 15, 17, 18. All right. Okay, perfect. Now let's go ahead and bring this back. All right. Now, as you guys saw me, I peeled it right away. It's a hot peel, but you need to make sure that your heat press is dialed down with enough pressure. If it doesn't have enough pressure, you're not gonna be able to hot peel like I just did. So let's take a look at this real quick beforehand. You guys can see the lettering, it's smooth. But wait till I put this finishing sheet on and you guys will see the finish. It's gonna look very good. Wow, look at that, guys. All right, guys, here's a finished look, front, back. Let me know what you guys think. And again, if you guys need any transfer need, make sure you guys check us out. We'll have a link in the description below. We can definitely help you out, whether you need a transfer provider, a backup transfer provider, UV transfers, whatever it is that you need, even artwork, let us know. We're here to help you guys out. My name is Phil. I'll catch you guys on the next one.